Kang the Conqueror is one of the most interesting and nuanced villains in the Marvel Universe, and I am so glad he is about to be propelled into the mainstream with the release of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Kang has appeared throughout the Marvel Comics multiverse since the early 60s as a reoccurring antagonist for the Fantastic Four and the Avengers. Being one of the most notable villains in the Avengers Rogues Gallery, it's actually pretty shocking that we didn't see much of Kang outside of the pages of comics until the last couple of years. Many casual fans I know have never heard of the character until his appearance as the primary antagonist of LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2, and despite the flack Phase 4 is getting, I can't express enough how well they are building up to Kang, and the massive threat he's going to pose for the Avengers come 2025. Jonathan Majors was also just an amazing choice to play the character. The goofy and energetic acting choices he used to portray the variant in Loki, known as He Who Remains, looks like a complete departure from the stoic and intimidating presence he has in the trailers for Quantumania. These appearances alone have raised interest in the character, and many friends have asked me in the last couple of weeks what comics they should read in order to get the rundown on Kang. For many, I only have one big recommendation, and that's to read the 2021 miniseries Kang the Conqueror, Only Myself Left to Conquer. This series functions as an origin story for Kang, and it really builds on a lot of elements that I find very interesting about the character. Kang was born in the 31st century as Nathaniel Richard. Due to how far in the future he was born, and the frequent use of time travel in the Marvel Universe, we can only say for certain that Nathaniel is a descendant of Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four. It is also heavily hinted at that Dr. Doom could be a possible ancestor as well. The time travel gets a little messy, so I'm going to try and stick with this miniseries chronology as much as possible to explain everything. 18-year-old Nathaniel Richards is bored with the 31st century and the halting of any kind of advancement of time due to the utopian civilization he lives in. So he begins to seek joy outside of his time and determines he will find it in the past. Discovering Dr. Doom's library and time travel equipment, a Doombot attempts to kill Nathaniel before a future variant of himself intervenes. This future version is Kang, and he offers all he has to know without the trauma he has yet to live, taking him through all of his defeats and training so he could become a superior Kang, with his most important advice to learn never to love, as this was Kang's greatest weakness. Despite his instructor's demands, Nathaniel experiences his first love and ultimate loss at the hands of Kang, and under the guise of apprenticeship, continues his training to become a superior Kang, abandoning his future self moments before the end of the Cretaceous period. Nathaniel reappears prior to the canonical first appearance of Kang as the corrupt pharaoh Rama-Tut. Nathaniel meets Ravonna, who is the avatar of the Egyptian god Khonshu at this time, or better known as Moon Knight. The two work together with Nathaniel building the Iron Lad suit. Ravonna is also a really important character, and she is central to Kang's motivations as a villain, so we are going to come back around to her shortly, but the two share a brief exchange before being taken captive by Rama-Tut. Nathaniel, or Kang, has many different aliases. Loki explained this quickly with He Who Remains ranting off his various titles.
I've been dubbed many names by many people.
Once Nathaniel reveals himself to Rama-Tut, the Pharaoh uses the ultra-diode ray on it, which had the power to remove an individual's strength and abilities, or as a mind control device. We actually saw this in Rama-Tut's first appearance in the Fantastic Four issue he debuted in. Under his control, Rama-Tut makes Nathaniel don the Scarlet Centurion moniker. This is where it might get super confusing, so I'm going to break this down with as much simplicity as possible. Rama-Tut is at war with Ansa-Ba-Nur, also known as the Mutant Apocalypse. During their battles, a time-displaced Fantastic Four arrive and lead to Rama-Tut retreating into the future. Nathaniel knew this would happen due to his time with the future Kang. After Rama-Tut leaves the timeline, Nathaniel, driven even further for revenge on his variants for taking away the only things he loved, seeks assistance from Apocalypse, who places him in suspension to defeat Kang in the future. Nathaniel awakes thousands of years later, ready to confront Kang at his modern return and battle with the Avenger. Due to his time studying with his future self, he knew exactly what would happen and how to kill this for himself. But before he is able to do so, Dr. Doom appears with the intent of killing both Kang and Nathaniel, ending Kang's eventual conquest throughout history. Nathaniel plots to work with this version of Kang temporarily to stop Doom, to betray Kang soon after, and take his revenge so he can use Kang's technology to return prior to Rama-Tut's rule and assume his position in order to save Ravonna. History repeats and he captures his younger self and Ravonna, releasing her to a secure location and using the ultra-diode ray on his younger self just as he had previously experienced. History begins to repeat itself again, leading to the Fantastic Four's arrival, and Nathaniel retreating into the future. He arrives in the 41st century, where he meets with Ravonna once more. This version, however, rejects Nathaniel, and the idea that she was the woman he loved centuries earlier, embittering Nathaniel even further, and beginning his descent into becoming Kang, only to be reunited with Ravonna a century after she rejected him, and he began his conquest across time. Kang decides to end his rule to win her heart, seeing Ravonna's love as the only thing worth conquering. This unfortunately leads to her demise, this being the moment Kang dreaded and was drilled into his mind by his mentor most of all. The one thing that will conquer him is his love for Ravonna, but Kang dismisses this notion, seeing that he was his own worst enemy rather than the love he has for Ravonna. He decides to spread her throughout the timeline an infinite amount of times. However, every time they meet, it's always met with a loss or rejection, further creating the monster that Kang met as a child and leading to the events of the comic repeating. The moment before Kang reunites with his younger self, he accepts his destiny, and we learn that the true motive of the original incarnation was only to create himself and kill his true weakness, Nathaniel Richards. I feel like we are going to get a great interpretation of this story in Phase 5. I'd love to see certain moments play out across Loki Season 2 and Quantumania, especially since we see little pieces of Ravonna Renslayer in Season 1 of Loki. I'm hoping Season 2 is really going to develop her further, and that everybody can see the potential of this character going forward too, and the really interesting aspects of Kang as a character. I really love how the MCU turned Thanos, who in the comics is very one-note, into such an interesting and beloved character, and feel like they have much more to work from with Kang, so the potential is so much higher to do something really amazing with this character, and hopefully it leads to some really great stories. But that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know below if you really enjoyed this video. I definitely enjoyed making it, and I want to do a lot more videos like this. I really enjoyed discussing Marvel lore, and I have some ideas planned before Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania comes out, and I want to do a deep dive on the quantum realm and its comic origins, and all kinds of things that may be interesting to you. So why don't you subscribe, like this video, and check out some of our other videos where we look at Marvel lore a little bit more. Again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.